The morning sky above Kepler 442b burned with the light of 3 suns. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood at the edge of the crystalline plateau, watching alien ships descend like metal rain. Her diplomatic uniform felt heavy on her shoulders. The Galactic Council had sent her here to stop a war, but she arrived to find one already raging. Below her, the Zephyrian army moved like a silver tide across the battlefield. Their energy weapons carved bright scars through the morning mist. On the opposite side, the Corvith defenders held their ground behind shields that shimmered like soap bubbles. Both species had been fighting over this planet for 50 years. Neither remembered why the war started. Elena touched the translator node behind her ear. The device hummed softly, ready to convert her words into any of the 17 languages spoken by the warring factions. She had studied both cultures for months. The Zephyrians valued honor above life. The Corvith prized logic and calculation. Neither species understood compromise. A Zephyrian patrol spotted her first. 6 warriors surrounded her position, their crystalline armor reflecting the triple sunrise. Their leaders stepped forward, mandibles clicking in surprise. No human had ever set foot on this battlefield before. "You are the Earth representative," the warrior said. His voice sounded like breaking glass through the translator. "Why do you come to a place of death?" Elena kept her hands visible and her movements slow. "I come to speak with your commanders. The Galactic Council seeks peace." The warriors laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Peace? The Corvith kill my nest brothers. They poisoned our breeding pools. There can be no peace until their species burns. What if I told you the Corvith say the same about you?" Elena asked. The leader's 4 eyes narrowed. "Then you would be speaking truth. War is truth. Peace is the lie diplomats tell." Elena had heard similar words on a dozen worlds. Species across the galaxy believed humans were weak because they sought negotiation over conflict. They had never seen Earth's history. They did not know what humans had overcome. The patrol escorted her to their forward command post. General Zektar stood before a holographic display of the battlefield. He was ancient by Zephyrian standards, his carapace scarred by 100 battles. When he saw Elena, his antenna twitched with amusement. "The humans send a single female to stop our war," Zektar said. "Do they mock us?" "We send our best," Elena replied. "One human saved the Altarian system from civil war. Another prevented the destruction of the vegan colonies. We are few, but we are effective." "Words," Zektar spat. "The Corvith understand only force. We have tried negotiations. They calculate and delay while building more weapons. Your council wastes time sending you here." Elena studied the battle display. The conflict had reached a stalemate. Neither side could advance without catastrophic losses. Both armies were bleeding themselves dry over worthless ground. "General, how many of your soldiers die each day?" she asked. "Between 200 and 300, Zektar answered without emotion. "The enemy loses similar numbers. 600 lives daily, over 200,000 per year. In 50 years, that means 10 million dead. For what? For honor. For vengeance. For survival." Elena shook her head. "For nothing. This planet has no strategic value. Its resources are common throughout the sector. You fight because your fathers fought and their fathers before them. You've forgotten the original grievance. We forget nothing." Zektar's voice rose to a shriek. The Corvith, an explosion rocked the command post. Corvith artillery had found their position. The holographic display flickered and died. Soldiers scrambled for cover as more shells rained down. Elena found herself pressed against a wall next to General Zektar. His breathing came in ragged gasps. "You see," he said, "they attack even as you speak of peace. This is why negotiation fails." Elena watched medics carry wounded soldiers past their position. One young Zephyrian clutched at a missing limb, green blood pooling beneath him. His eyes found hers, full of pain and confusion. He was barely more than a hatchling. "I need to reach the Corvith lines," Elena said. Zektar's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "You would walk into enemy territory?" They will dissect you for study. Humans are still a curiosity to them. Then, I'll be the most interesting thing they've studied in years, Elena said. General, give me one chance. If I fail, you can return to your war. But if I succeed, both your species might survive to see peace. The general studied her for a long moment. Outside, the bombardment continued. More of his soldiers fell with each passing minute. You have one planetary rotation, he said finally. After that, we launch our final assault. Either the war ends your way, or it ends ours. Elena nodded. One day, to stop a 50-year conflict. She had worked with worse deadlines. As she prepared to leave the command post, she noticed something odd in the morning sky. One of the three suns seemed brighter than before, pulsing with an unusual rhythm. She would remember that detail later. When everything changed, the journey across no man's land tested every survival skill Elena had learned in diplomatic training. The ground between the two armies was a graveyard of destroyed vehicles and fallen soldiers for both species. Automated defense systems still functioned in some areas, firing at anything that moved. Elena crawled through mud that glowed with radioactive contamination, her suit's sensors screaming warnings she chose to ignore. Halfway across, she found a wounded Corvith soldier trapped beneath debris. His breathing unit had cracked, leaking the methane mixture his species required. Without thinking, Elena stopped to help. She used her emergency kit to seal the crack and shifted the twisted metal off his thorax. The soldier's compound eyes focused on her with mathematical precision. Human, he wheezed through the translator. Probability of your survival in this zone? Negligible. Why assist enemy combatant? You're not my enemy, Elena said, helping him sit up. I don't have enemies here. Only people who need help. The Corvith processed this statement for several seconds. Logic pattern unrecognized. Clarification required. It's called compassion, Elena explained. A survival trait humans developed. We help others because we might need help ourselves someday. Inefficient, the soldier concluded, but appreciated. He gave her his identification beacon before limping back toward his own lines. The device would mark her as a non-combatant to Corvith patrols. It was more than she had hoped for. The Corvith defensive perimeter was a marvel of calculated efficiency. Every firing position covered multiple angles. Every soldier knew exactly where to move and when. Elena approached slowly, the beacon held high above her head. Dozens of weapons tracked her movement. A Corvith officer emerged from a bunker, his environmental suit polished to mirror brightness. He scanned her with instruments she couldn't identify. Human diplomatic unit recognized. Purpose of battlefield presence? Unknown. Explain. I need to speak with your highest-ranking commander, Elena said. The Galactic Council authorized me to negotiate a ceasefire. Probability of successful negotiation based on historical data, 0.03%. Zephyrian's psychological profile indicates I've already spoken with General Zektar, Elena interrupted. He's given me one rotation to find a solution. After that, he launches a final assault that will destroy both your armies. The officer's eyes dilated, running rapid calculations. Follow. Supreme Calculator Orcs will determine your usefulness. The Corvith Command Center was underground, a network of tunnels carved with laser precision. Every surface displayed data streams and probability matrices. Elena felt like she had walked into a living computer. Supreme Calculator Orcs stood at the center, surrounded by a dozen tactical displays. She was ancient. Her carapace faded to pale blue with age. Ambassador Elena Vasquez, Vorix said without turning. Height, 1.7 meters. Weight, 68 kilograms. Diplomatic success rate, 87%. Probability of ending this conflict, statistically insignificant. Statistics don't account for human stubbornness, Elena replied. Vorix finally turned. Her movements were slow but precise. Explain your methodology. The Zephyrians respond only to displays of strength. We have calculated every possible negotiation scenario. All end in renewed hostilities. Elena pulled out a small hollow projector. Because you're negotiating like Corvith and They're negotiating like Zephyrians. Neither of you negotiates like humans. She activated the device, displaying images from Earth's history. This is Berlin, 1989. Two sides that hated each other for generations, watching their dividing wall come down. This is South Africa, 1994. Former enemies voting together for the first time. This is the European Union, formed by nations that had been at war for centuries. Historical anomalies, Orcs dismissed. Humans possess irrational optimism. We possess experience, Elena corrected. We fought every kind of war imaginable. Religious wars, resource wars, ideological wars. We nearly destroyed our planet 3 times. But we learned something your species haven't. The enemy you negotiate with today becomes the ally you need tomorrow. Orcs studied the images with her lower eyes, while her upper eyes remained fixed on Elena. Present your proposal. First, I need information. What started this war? The real reason, not the propaganda both sides tell. The Supreme Calculator was silent for 37 seconds. Elena had learned that Corvus silence meant complex processing. Finally, Vork spoke. Colony ship miscalculation.